Starting up the YouTube stream. At least I don't have to listen to Dean Edmonds' speech before I get to eat my lunch. Okay, things are working. What's happening? Let's get the link posted and we'll get the party started. Paste, add, post. There we go. All right, good morning, folks. Let's see, who do we have today? Nathan is online. Hello, Nathan. Good to have you here. Samantha is here in person. Marcelo here in person. And we're supposed to have Jacob online with us today. I don't see him yet. Maybe he'll come by in a few minutes. All right. So, welcome to hybrid learning here. Although you guys were here over the summer, right? So it's really not that different, really. Think so far? Be okay. Yeah. So we are in an excellent place. Although we kind of got started, but we just jumped straight into the math stuff. So I never really introduced myself to you. So let me do that now. My name is Mr. Apple. I went to the University of Notre Dame where I studied physics. I then went to Concordia, Chicago, where I studied math and got certified to teach math and physics. Eventually the slide will catch up to me. Okay. You probably already know this, but I like Batman. I like having fun playing games, even while learning. So I'm still going to try to make this class as fun as possible as we learn tons of stuff. This is probably the most jam-packed class in the whole series here at Christo, sophomore algebra 2. And I think with the help of Khan Academy and other online tools, we can still achieve quite a lot this year, despite all the other various setbacks life has tried to throw at us. Okay? Another point of interest down there at the bottom. I like to be upfront with my biases on where I'm coming from on various social or current event topics as they come. So know that I am a Lutheran by faith. That is the Protestant Christian denomination. I believe most of all the same theological things as Catholics. I just don't think the Pope has anything to do with it. I'm libertarian politically, which means I really don't like the Republicans or the Democrats. I'm looking for a third option. So that's where I stand on those points. Now, I'd like to do the thing we probably should have done in the summer. I want to get to know you, officially. So, we're going to go around the room, and yes, that includes you, Nathan. Introduce yourself by telling me you got to stand up here in person. Okay? Helps get the diaphragm going. Fight past this mask. It's muffling you. Tell me your name and What makes you awesome? Come up with something that you are proud of, something you can brag about and be like, hey, I know a ton of stuff about this, right? I can speak for hours about Batman. I'm proud of that. I think that's awesome. Maybe something you've accomplished, some skill you have, anything like that. Something that makes you awesome. Okay? Let's start over here. Oh, come on, you must have a passion about something. You like what? Stadiums. The stadiums themselves, where the sports is happening, but you're interested in the building. That's unique. Most people are so focused on the game, they don't care less about it. So that's awesome that you pay attention to the architecture. So you probably know about like which ones have the retractable roof and which ones don't, right? That's the latest feature. At least I think that's the latest feature. Is there any new developments past that? Retractable grass fields. I did not know that. That is so cool. See, that's awesome. Right there. Boom. Hill. Thank you for sharing. See, anything like that. You've researched something that nobody else thinks to research. You bring that into a job and you be like, hey, guess what? Here's this really cool thing I bet you've never heard of. And it's impressive. Next. You like art? Creating it yourself or admiring others? Both. Okay, what kind of art do you create? Okay, more like drawing, do some painting? Sculpture? Haven't done sculpture. Okay. Drawing and painting. Excellent, excellent. That's really cool. I wish I had enough artistic talent to portray math ideas on the board. That's the extent of it. I can't make it look pretty. But I hope I can at least get to you to know, you recognize what I draw. So if we need a good picture drawn, I'll come to you. No? Don't do that? Okay. You gotta work on that. Big proud of you. You're like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll do all the art for the class. Okay. All right, Discord. Oh, hey, look, Jacob's here. He has arrived. Good to see you. Well, good to see that you are tuned in, Jacob. Let's hear from you. Jacob, unmute your mic, introduce yourself. Tell us why you're awesome. I can. Keep going.
So my name is Jacob. And I like to read comics as well.
You like comics as well. Okay, see, I didn't know that before. What's your favorites?
I like Batman comics as well.
Good answer. Good answer.
I'm reading this comic called On.
Called what? What was it called? You cut out there.
Spawn.
Oh, Spawn. Yes, I've heard of that one. You know, they made a movie on him way back in the day. It doesn't hold up. Don't look. Don't watch. You agree? You've seen that movie? Yeah, it's terrible. Don't do it. Stick with the comics. All right, very cool. All right, thank you, Jacob. Nathan, your turn.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. Nice and loud. Thank you.
Animation and I like basketball.
You like basketball. That's pretty awesome. Are you on a team, or were before this went down?
Well, I was last year.
You were last year? Yeah. What position? Or at least favorite position if you've done multiples?
Shooting guard.
Good. Okay, good. On the defense? Very nice, very nice. Okay. Good hearing from you. Thank you, Nathan. We have, for today, let's get to not the geometry one, algebra. Right, if you haven't seen this yet, this is the master schedule document. Okay? All of the planning happens right here. I put what we're doing when, what's due, goals in class, homework, outside of class. All that can be found right there, updated live as I go. So there's where you'll always get the latest information. So looking at that, today we are continuing our week on the TI-84. We're going to get to know that tool very well. So the rest of the year actually becomes way easier. If you have this graphing calculator, most of the homework, most of the stuff just becomes almost trivial, okay? Because the calculator can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, right? But would you rather move your whole house yourself or get the forklift? I mean, so today we're going to focus on systems of equations. So solving systems of equations with the TI-84 calculators. Now, the method I use for systems of equations on the TI-84 is in fact matrices. Remember in the summer we learned all about matrices, how they can be used to solve a system. It's not the only way to do it. You could of course do it by graphing on the calculator and be fairly accurate because the calculator can calculate for you the exact intersection point of two lines there on the graph, which is way better than drawing it by hand and trying to eyeball it. But even better, especially for larger systems, which is again what I mentioned this summer, why matrices are great, when you have a really long list. So we're going to see how to do that on the TI-84, and we have you practice that. And this is the right thing. Yeah. So on the Google Classroom post for today, here's going to be our practice. So this is just a list of several systems, all 3 by 3, 3 equations, 3 variables. Okay. Now, if you had to actually graph this, it would be a 3-dimensional graph because there's x, y, and z. Unfortunately, TI-84 does not do 3-dimensional graphs. We're not there yet. Maybe one day we'll have graphing calculators with 3D capability. But these are excellent for matrices. And the calculator can literally do all of the computation all by itself. Okay? So everything we learned about finding the determinant, it can do that, boom, instantly. It can find the inverse, boom, instantly. It can multiply the matrices as if they were any other number. And it can solve the matrix equation even faster. And so the other document that I failed to open up here, so let me find that one to share. The other document there on the post are some directions on how to input matrices in the calculator, how to do the calculations with them. And so we'll take a look at some of that. And I'll try to bring up my calculator here as well. So go ahead and open the other document that's the directions. Called Operations with Matrices. So that document will walk you through the sections. Right, there is the matrix button. Okay, that's where everything is going to happen. So think of entering the matrix similar to entering a function in the graphing. Right, so you have the y equals, and then you say, okay, y1 equals this. So you go to the matrices, and there's all your matrices. Matrix A is this. Matrix B is this. First thing you need to do is define the size. You say, hey, I want to edit matrix A. I want to change it to be, in this case, we're going to need a 3 by 3. Right? Well, actually, we'll actually want a 3 by 4, but we'll get there. And then you can start entering the numbers. After you tell it what size, you'll then give it blanks, and it goes across, and you go 4 to -6, 2, 1, 3. Enter those numbers in order. It saves it there in that matrix letter. Okay, almost got it up. Found the document. I have opened the document. I just need to get the document into that window so it is shown to everybody. There. And there. Awesome. Okay. Here's the thing. So yes, inputting and editing matrices. Here's the matrix entry above the x to the -1 button. Right, that'll be your matrix menu. This is where everything happens. Will be from this menu. Right? Here's our names. So this will be if you want to call one of the matrices onto the main screen. Say, hey, I want to multiply this matrix by 2. You're like, well, which matrix? This is how you type one of the matrices into the main screen to do things to it. So I'll name this. And the math list is where all of the actual matrix-related functions happen. So that's where you'll get the determinant, dimensions, and identity, and that kind of thing. Funnily enough, inverse is not on that list. If you wanted to have the calculator calculate the inverse of a matrix, it's the same inverse. You still use the x to the -1 button. So you'll type out matrix, and then the x to the -1 button. That's our notation for inverse, and then it'll just then display the inverse. So it's not a separate functional tree. It's very handy. And then, of course, the final menu, edit, is where you'll need to go first every time to actually type in all of the entries. let me start up my calculator, and we'll work through an example. What we're going to do is we are going to do something a little different. We didn't see this in the summer. We're going to create an augmented matrix. Okay? And this means we are creating actually a 3 by 4 matrix using all of the numbers. So it's not just the coefficients. We're going to add an extra column onto the end that includes the constants on the end. Right? So you had 3x plus 5y minus 1z equals 12. So we want all 3 coefficients and the equals 12. So that 12 at the end. We'll use all 4 numbers, right, on each row. That'll be our augmented matrix, because we had the coefficient, and then we had the constants. Over the summer, we kept those as 2 separate matrices, and you multiplied one by the inverse to get your answer. You can still do that. That method still works. You enter them as separate matrices. Right? Matrix A is your coefficients, matrix B is your constants, and then you type A inverse times B, you'll get your answer. It'll work. But even faster, put them together into one matrix, and then there is one function operation you can call called RREF. RREF stands for Reduced Row Echelon Form. It's a very fancy term. It's a very fancy process, especially if you have to do it by hand. I've done it by hand. It's not bad. It's basically a long form of the elimination method. Okay? But it automatically then spits out your answer. It does all the work for you in the calculator. You create your augmented matrix in, say, matrix A, and then you tell the calculator, give me RREF of matrix A. There it does. It spits you out an answer matrix that every number is just in order. First number will be your x, then your y, and your z. Beautiful. If the calculator app is slowly loading on my machine, I will eventually show one to you. Would you like to do an example together? That might take time. So try it out yourself. Okay? You're going to use that method to get the answers for all of those 3 by 3s on the worksheet. Getting there. While that's loading, let's look at the worksheet myself here. Take some notes. I'm going to do number 8. 2 and 4, 1, 10. So I'm just jotting these down for my own notes, and then once the calculator's up, I'll walk you through typing everything in. Okay, so this is question number 8. Okay. Change windows here to calculator. let's get that on the stream. There we go. Okay. So I believe everybody can see my calculator then. So I'm going to go to, here's the x minus 1 button, so second, that one to get to the matrix menu. Oops, oh, I guess I already had second. There we go. And over to edit. I'm going to edit matrix A, doesn't really matter. But if you, obviously if you wanted to do additional matrices, you go down the line. Okay. I'm doing a 3x3 system, but I'm creating the augmented matrix, so it's going to be a 3x4. So 3, enter, 4, enter. Notice that automatically adjusts the size on screen there to accommodate. And now we just read across our coefficients, assuming, of course, everything is written in standard form, right? Make sure everything was in standard form. What's that? I'm doing number 8 here. I'm just double check X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z in that order. Constants all inside. Yes. Good. Otherwise, rearrange things to line them up in that order. So I'll do my first equation. First X value is 2. So I should type 2. Notice it already has moved the cursor to 1, 1, so it's saying in matrix A, position 1, comma 1, 2, enter. What's next? And I think I can type here, error syntax, because my minus button is not the negative button. That's annoying. There we go, -4. Okay. 1, 10, 1, 2, -1, 1, -1, -3, 2, and 0. Okay, double check. That all looks good. Now we are done editing our matrix. We want to go back to the home screen to perform a calculation. So second quit. We need our operation first, so second matrix menu. Go to the math column and scroll down until you find RREF. Okay. Careful not to pick REF. You want the double R's. Okay. REF, row echelon form, arranges everything properly, but doesn't reduce it. Okay. So it's like the second to last step. Instead of telling you x equals 5, it'll tell you 5x equals 25. Right? There's like a final division step on each line that you have to do. We want the calculator to do everything for us. So pick RREF. Enter. And then ref of what? Matrix A, of course. Second matrix names. I'm going to pick number 1 entry there. Just press 1 or enter. And that's it. Enter. Boom. Done. Answer. Right here. This is it. It has taken our original matrix, which was a jumbled mess of tons of x's and y's everywhere, and said, no. Super simple. Right? Translate this back into an equation. Right? First coefficient of x. So this says 1x plus no y's plus no z's equals 3. Right? Which means x equals 3. That's it. Right? As long as this is 1's down the diagonal and 0's everywhere else, right? The identity matrix, then this last column will just be our answers in order. X, Y, Z. We got 3, -1, and 0. Let's check our answer. That was number 8, 3, -1, and 0. Yes, indeed. So yes, the answers are included. You're welcome. Right? Purpose isn't to get the answers. It's to be able to do this. Practice this method. Okay? So there you are. Questions on that? Yeah? That's pretty incredible, right? That the calculator can just do that. It's so simple now. I told you it'd be easy, right? Here it is. And you've got it built right into your machine now. Even better. Okay? All right, then that's it. You've got, what, 15 minutes? Yep, 15 minutes to work. Chow through those. Practice, practice, practice. And especially on the Chromebook, it's going to be a little slower. You got to drag your cursor around and click all the buttons. Just, I know, right? You saw how slow it was on my machine. Good. So, more familiar with you are. Then when a systems question pops up on the SAT, you're like, oh, I got this. Matrix, boom, done. Right? Either one. Wherever you feel comfortable. You could just, since it's just a list of 3 numbers, you can just type it in your document. Or if you want to screen grab it, that's fine. Yeah, so it would be 3, -1, 0. So you could write those as an ordered triplet. Parenthesis, 3, comma, -1, comma, 0, and parenthesis. That'd be, I think that's how they format it on the page there. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Concerns? Jacob or Nathan, anything you need to add or ask?
Oh,
All right. Carry on. Alright, now that we're in working mode, power down the YouTube